is a crisis. Now, I want to ask about the Khumalo case. Khumalo was arrested by IDEC for an HR matter. Have you ever done a supervision of that case?
If you'll just give me half a second, I have a tickle in my throat. I'm trying to get rid of it. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's a location.
Sorry, it's my post-nasal drip. Triggers
Chair,
sometimes.
She has been coughing for a minute, Chair.
No, but Nomvalo, you're unfair. The question is hard. Yeah, she's a location.
So
My
consider my
apologies.
time, Chair.
I must apologize for this. So I explained earlier that with regard to these matters, the National Director does not get involved in, excuse me, in the detail of a case.
So you have never supervised, even after it was broadcast?
No, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to.
Or you're not done?
I'm not yet done.
Oh, okay,
My apologies.
okay. Yeah.
Protect the witness.
You are breathing heavily.
I need a
on the
minute and
neck
I'm sure I'll be fine.
of the witness.
It normally works with the lozenge. So
Okay, no,
Advocate.
we can take a break, Chair.
I think I'm fine, Chair. I can
Relax,
continue now.
relax.
Thank you. In that matter, as I explained, well, in all matters, particularly, well, let's deal with IDAC matters, because it relates to an IDAC matter. I get very, very high-level reports, and verbally, because of leakage of information, the ID gives me very high-level reports, verbally, generally. In this particular case, she informed me about the impending arrest of the head of crime intelligence. I said to her, Andrea, are you sure this is a watertight case? Because arresting the head of crime intelligence is not something one takes lightly. There must be a watertight case, and she explained to me that it was part of a much bigger case strategy. This was one case that's part of a much bigger case strategy, and that the case was solid. But again, I urge, if anyone feels aggrieved by that decision, to bring a review process. And I assure the people of this country that I will look at any case, whether it's Phala Phala or this matter, objectively, and decide whether the correct decision was taken.
So they informed you before they effected the arrest?
That is correct.
So you relied on a verbal briefing. You never said, bring me a referral if there's any, so that I can satisfy myself that we have a strong case here.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I'm saying, you are saying, you asked her if the case is watertight, and she said yes. I'm saying, to you, that was enough. You never went further to say, bring me a referral, bring me documents, so that I can also satisfy myself that we have a strong case here.
We have processes in the prosecuting authority to ensure that cases are, it's not just one person that takes a decision, not just the ID. There's a team of people that actually work together to decide on these cases. So when the head of the investigating directorate gives me her assurance that the case is strong, I must take her word for it.
So you took her words. You never required.
That is correct.
Or you only relied on her words.
And a very high-level briefing of what the case was about.
So, according to your knowledge, was the arrest procedurally fair? Were all the requirements met for the arrest to be executed.
Can I ask what requirements the honourable member is
There's a
referring to?
referral and so on and so forth. You don't just go and arrest a person. There was a referral which was brought by a member of parliament in terms of the report that was tendered here. I'm saying, did you satisfy yourself that all the required documentation and the requirements were met before the arrest was effected?
That is not the function of a national director, and I certainly did not go into that level of detail.
It means we have different acts, NTPP. Really, I don't know the act that you have, but in terms of the act that is before me now, you do have that statutory obligation. When it says a report can go further by saying, give me the documents which are relevant to this prosecution or arrest, so that you do not become a victim of misrepresentation. You can do that. There is nothing that stops you. That is why I said, to me, you appear as the NDPP who does not understand her statutory obligations.
Chair, as I mentioned, the IDAC head gave me a high-level briefing on this case, a high-level case strategy, and why this case was strong enough and important enough for them to proceed. I agree with you. The National Director requires that kind of assurance from the DPPs to ensure that we don't have errant DPPs or IDs that are doing their own thing. Have that level of assurance. And in this case, I got the level at a very high-level briefing, that level of assurance from the ID in this matter.
Yeah, because we are going to rely on a half-cooked information, and you are the one who accounts in Parliament. We ask questions from you. Now, if you are responsible, you can't just rely on a verbal update or report. Documents must be submitted to you so that you are going to be in a position to make justifications if that need arises, and to give a report and to be confident and say the NPA here did everything that it could do. Now you are just relying on a verbal report. There is absolutely no papers before you. You are saying this was said to me and it ends there.
Honourable Nhlanhla, I think you're right. In future, we have to find a way of managing leakage of information and getting written reports, because you make a valid point. But dealing with leakages in the institution is a serious problem. And that is something else that, we need to find a way of strengthening our information security across government. But that is a serious concern, and I'll certainly take your point on board.
In December 2024, the media reports that the IDEC boss was addressing the personnel of IDEC, and she made some remarks. She was saying to staff members they must fake it until they leave it. They must go to court with empty files. But in summary, she was encouraging them to pretend to be busy while they were not. And you made an interview after that. I can't remember the media house that you were in, but I came across that interview. You were asked about that incident, and you denounced it. You denounced it. Is it correct? Am I correct?
I didn't denounce it. Perhaps what that honourable member, that the media house that you're talking about, the Amabungane interview, because I was interviewed, and that entire interview was one that the makers of that interview used the New Lane matter as a linchpin to lynch the National Director and the NPA. I was asked during that, and I hasten to add that that New Lane matter was one of the most scathing judgments against the National Prosecuting Authority. And of course, the media had a field day quoting from the judge who called it a comedy of errors, etc. We took that matter on appeal, and the Supreme Court of Appeal overturned the New Lane judgment, and in fact said in that decision, and it's important because this case seriously dented the reputation of the NPA. But the Supreme Court of Appeal overturned that decision. And in fact, the judgment rendered by the SCA is one of the strongest against the conduct of a judge that I have read. And there were terms like it went against the administration of justice and things like that. So that New Lane matter is the interview that you are referring to. And of course, when the matter was overturned by the SCA, there wasn't much that was said about it in the media.
No, I will ask 5 minutes from Kosana. I want to ask about Paul O'Sullivan.
Yeah, no, the time of Skosana is not yet allocated. Yeah.
When it's allocated, Chair, not now.
Okay. Honorable Bradenbach, you wanted to ask a follow-up question. Okay. Can I check members who want to ask follow-ups? I see Honorable Nhlanhla. Is your hand up, Honorable Skosana? Okay. Those will be the two hands. Thank you. The list is closed.
Thank you, Chair. NTPP, the country suffered an embarrassing legal battle. Whether substantively or procedurally, we lost the application to extradite Guptas to the Republic of South Africa to face the wrath of the law. Now, you indicate that NPA is planning to resubmit the extradition request to the UAE. But you're saying you are unable to give us the exact time frame. And that's worrisome because this matter has dragged for quite some time now. Now, why is it that you can't provide exact time frames on when is NPA going to submit an extradition request against Guptas in the UAE? What is the actual plan in respect to that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Well, what I can say is from the information that I received from the ID, it will certainly be before I leave office. So, but I certainly hope it would be even before the end of this year. But it will be soon. We are working very hard on also ensuring that we have additional charges that will be added to the original extradition request. So it's the time that it's taking is that we're not just resubmitting the old request again. We have investigated some other very important cases involving other SOEs, and there will be other charges that will be added. That has been the delay and why we didn't submit immediately after that.
Honorable Skosana.
Follow up on top of follow up. The Honorable Ngola just asked the advocate. I just want to ask you, when the minister assured South Africans that...
Honorable Skosana, you are not asking a follow-up on the question that was asked by Honorable Ngola.
No, I was going to ask that. So on top of what he was asking, my way of questioning will be different from Ngola, but it's the same follow-up which I want to get from her.
I just want to remind you that when your hand was up, you did not know what he was going to ask.
No. I knew what I'm going to ask, Chair.
Okay.
Yes. Now, perhaps let me say this to you. Have you ever spoken to the minister then, Lamula, about this extradition Honorable Ngola is talking about?
We had many conversations.
About this matter, the extradition matter, have you ever discussed with him?
Yes, about that.
Are you aware that the minister assured South Africans that the Guptas will be extradited from Dubai? Are you aware of that?
Didn't hear that.
I'm saying, are you not aware that the minister assured South Africans that the matter of the Guptas, they will be extradited to this country? It's just a matter of time. Was that discussion between you and him, or it was a political statement, maybe? You distance yourself from what the minister told us.
No, I don't distance myself from what the minister said. I don't know the details of it, but what I can confirm is that there will be an extradition application, and this country will do everything possible, the NPA will do everything possible to extradite the Guptas, who have been responsible largely for bringing this country to its knees, for the state that the country is in terms of when corruption has a face. The face of corruption is no sanitation, no water, no roads. The basic infrastructure of people was stolen by Guptas and others allegedly working in concert with them.
Let me add.
If I may finish, Chair, I'll be very quick. We
Okay.
owe it to the country that they are brought back. So what the minister said, I'm not sure, but certainly we will do everything possible from our side to extradite them. Extradition does become a political process. And so, we can't guarantee it because the process is completely in another country. But certainly from our side, the minister would be correct if he said that we will do everything possible to bring them back.
But advocate, for me, you are, we had a witness here, Minister of Police. We are doing exactly that now. I'm saying to you, my question is simple to you. A follow-up question on this matter, because you are talking about extradition of the Gupta family, which South Africans are waiting for. Now, my question was, have you discussed that with the minister? Because the minister assured South Africans. Because as you said, let me add on that. This country is in this state because of Pravin Gordhan. You might not want to mention him, but I'll mention him for you. That family. No, I'm saying I don't want to be selective. We want them to come here to account. But I'm saying to you, hence you said that we are in this problem because of the Guptas, wrongly or rightly so. I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter whether he died. I'm saying this country we are in this scenario because of one of the persons who has done that is Pravin Gordhan.
Point of order, Chair.
Now, no, I don't. He never respect us when we are alive. You can't tell me how to deal with that matter.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Now,
Can I take the point of order?
yeah, please, because they are starting their shenanigans now, raising point of orders, raising their hands, because I'm mentioning somebody which they love. And I'm saying let them refrain themselves, because I'm talking to the advocate. The advocate is capable of answering for herself. Now, my last one, Chair,
Honorable.
on this matter, I want us to finish it because they were intimidating me and we are not protecting me, Chair.
Honorable Skhosana, I say to you that
Always, yeah.
there is a point of order. And even when I have alerted you of the point of order, you continue to speak.
No, but they are talking to me. They are busy. Why is I'm talking? They are making a point of order, but intimidating me. Why is I'm talking? They must just raise their hand.
Honorable Skhosana. Honorable Skhosana, may you please look at me. Thank you. Can you see me? Okay. Thank you. Can we listen to the point of order, Honorable Sangwen?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And each time Honorable Skhosana does this, I think he must know that we'll call order. Chairperson, Honorable Skhosana must withdraw the remarks that he has just made. He did this on another day. We called him out. And it's on two reasons why I'm asking him to withdraw. Firstly, he's casting aspersion on a person who's not even in this House, cannot respond. Secondly, he is misleading the House. He must back up what he is saying. And if he's not able to do so, then he has to withdraw. He's misleading the House. Comrade Pravin Gordhan was not found guilty of anything. Comrade Pravin Gordhan was at no point, he's just coming up with aspersions, and he must withdraw that issue, Chair.
The point of order is sustained, and the time that has been allocated for you to make follow-ups has also expired. Can we...
I'm sorry, Chair, my time.
For follow-ups.
Yeah, but I was not finished, Chair. Let's be beyond reproach in terms of political parties.
No.
If you're saying it's sustained, Sangoni, it means we are saying I'm wrong.
Honorable Skosana,
No,
if,
Chair.
if you may please listen to me. You know, when we allocate your time to ask you follow-up questions, we have always differentiated between follow-up questions and opportunistic questions that come with the bandwagon. So the time allocated for follow-up questions has expired. You are going to be allocated your own 30 minutes where you will come and rightfully field the questions that you are opportunistically trying to smuggle now. So if you have seen the time that Honorable Nhlanhla used to ask follow-up questions, you will agree with me that now you are 4 times beyond that time which was allocated to him. And I want to persuade you to agree with the chair and support the chair that we must move forward. Thank you so much. Can we move to the Democratic Alliance?
Chairperson, we can't move. You said the order is sustained, he must withdraw. He must withdraw, Chairperson. These matters relating to the Guptas were fully ventilated in the State Capture Commission. Comrade Praveen, there were no findings that were made against Comrade Praveen. And for them to keep coming here every day and misleading us and saying Comrade Praveen was responsible, that can't be allowed, Chair. He must withdraw.
Did you hear what it means when we say the order is sustained? And I can see that, Honorable Skosana, you don't have a temptation to compete with the date.
Chair, for the sake of progress, I'm going to do a noble thing. But I don't want people to say, yesterday I said that, I said that. Let's talk about what I said now. I'll withdraw now. Let's go. Let's finish with the advocate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And Honorable Breitenbach is applauding. Honorable Sokanyile and Honorable Skosana, you take Sokanyile home and you take Skosana home. Bring a public representative here.
Please repeat that, Chair.
I mean, take Sokanyile home, take Skosana home, bring a public representative here. Yes. Yes. That is what makes you a public representative. Yeah. Honorable Breitenbach and Honorable Cameron, who is starting between the two of you? So it's going to be you and Honorable Topper. I'm allocating you 40 minutes. Yes.
Chair, I still had a follow-up, remember?
Okay, before Honorable Breitenbach, let's take the follow-up from Honorable Shongwe.
Thank you, Chair. Advocate, there's something that is stuck in my head that you said before I asked this question. You said you don't see us finishing corruption in South Africa. That worries me. I hope you look into it on your own time. But this is my question. NgesiZulu we say iqala alboli. I don't know how to say that in English. But when are you opening a case for Honorable Umpati Andre Johnson, whom you said this thing that she did in being in the panel of her husband was 20 years ago? When are you acting on that, if I may ask?
Thank you, Chair. I think on the first point that the Honourable Shongwe raises about not finishing corruption, that will be utopia. It will be great if we have a country and a world without corruption. But realistically, I don't think we're going to get there, notwithstanding our best efforts. But we will keep fighting. With regard to case against, as I said, this has only just been revealed. And we need to look into it and look at the circumstances, the context, etc., and see if there's any steps that are required.
Well, can we maybe give it time? Because you see, you acted fast when it comes to arresting General Khumalo. So can it be of the same pace, please?
Chair, firstly, with all due respect, I had nothing to do with the arrest of General Khumalo and in terms of acting fast. So that's the first thing. But we do try to do our work speedily, and I can commit that this will be done speedily. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Breitenbach.
Thank you, Chair. Before I start, I will declare that I have known Advocate Batohi for many, many, many years. We work together at the NPA, so I think everybody knows that I know her. So, Advocate Batohi, there are currently prosecutors in senior positions in the NPA who aided and abetted state capture within the NPA. And not only are they still there, but they continue to exercise considerable influence within the organization. You'll agree with me, I think, that senior members of the NPA had an ethical and moral duty to oppose state capture of the NPA. And they failed. You know who they are. I know who they are. What have you done? What steps have you taken to rid the organization of these toxic bad influences?
So let me firstly respond by saying that from the very outset of my term, it has been a priority to do exactly that, to ensure that there's consequences for prosecutors who were errant and who did not uphold their oath of office and constitutional mandate, acted contrary to that. A number of the prosecutors that are implicated are currently facing disciplinary processes. And I do want to say here again that it is a sense of immense frustration as a national director that these processes take so long. The NDPP cannot interfere in labor processes. And it is extremely frustrating that those disciplinary processes have taken a year or 2 years maybe now, and they're still not complete. And there are various reasons for it. So I can't take that any further. I certainly hope we are doing what we can. I've spoken to the evidence leader to try to fast-track those processes. But, of course, Labour manages those processes. It is a frustrating thing for the National Director not to be able to, you can't get involved in those processes. You're also aware that Advocate Chauke has been suspended, and there is an inquiry into his fitness to hold office that will commence on the 17th of November. That's on Monday. I did recommend to the President just over 2 years ago that he be suspended, and now the inquiry is proceeding.
Thank you. I'll come back to well, let me do it now because you've mentioned Advocate Chauke. So you asked the President 2 years or so ago to suspend him, obviously for good reason. Took the President 2 years to do so. Do you still hold the view that you articulated earlier that that the executive supports the National Prosecuting Authority and that they have you have unfettered support and no influence or interference?
Well, look, what I do know is that after the President received my recommendation, he requested another legal opinion, or his office. I'm not sure it was him or his office. But I know that another opinion was sought, and the matter was between the President's office and the Department of Justice. What I can say is when the current minister took office, I would say it was less than a month that she was in office that she got this matter back on track.
So are you suggesting that the previous minister was less than keen?
No, I'm not saying it was less than keen. I'm saying there was a delay in that time,
Well, then
for
it's-
whatever the reason is, but there was certainly a delay.
The conclusion is ineluctable then that it's the previous minister who was the holdup. If you don't want to say it's fine, I will. And I'm saying it.
I don't have any reason to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, right. Yes, but Chauke is not the only person that we're both talking about now. There are the prosecutors who insisted on, for instance, the Cato Manor prosecutions in the face of no evidence whatsoever. Nothing has happened to them yet. The disciplinaries are, we're told, in the post. And they're not the only ones either. There are more.
Sorry, Chair, through you, I should have completed my answer. The IDAC is also investigating these matters, and there has been considerable progress in the matters. So I don't want to say anything more at this stage.
So what would your view be with regards to the state capture of the National Prosecuting Authority and DPPs and senior ones at that, who took the view at the time, openly, that they wanted to keep their jobs and they weren't prepared to, what they, as they said, make waves, not prepared to oppose the capture of the NPA? What would your view of that be?
It's no prosecutor should do that. It goes against your oath of office, your mandate to agree and go along with supervisors. It's difficult who are acting in a way that is not in line with their oath of office. And in my regional visits to prosecutors recently, I've made it very clear to them that if you are in that situation where your superiors, the leadership, is doing something that goes against your oath of office, you must respectfully disagree to go along with something that goes against your oath of office. Respectfully. But you do not go along with it because it's your supervisor that is influencing you. It's unacceptable for a prosecutor. It goes against all our code of conduct, our policies. It, in fact, could amount to a crime.
Well, I want to suggest that you look closer to home and look in the ranks of your deputy national directors. You'll find who I'm talking about. I'm sure you know who I am talking about. Don't, I'm happy to tell you. Do you know?
I know who you're referring to, yes.
Good. So look closer to home.
I'm not aware of evidence against him.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'm telling you, he said it to me. And to his entire management committee, several times.
Then I would say it's unacceptable.
I see. But he's the acting national director in Rodney de Kock's place. Continues to live a charmed life.
I beg your pardon?
Continues to live a charmed life.
I'm not sure. I was wondering if that was a question.
It's a statement.
I'm not sure what he said to his management, but he's given me no reason to suspect that he is not a person whose integrity I cannot trust.
Well, let me help you with that. He told his management and myself more than once, I need this job, I'm not making waves. Did you get that?
That's unacceptable conduct.
Good. Now, you say that prosecutor-led investigations have increased the successes of prosecutions. Is that correct? Did I understand you correctly?
We were talking about prosecutor-guided investigations.
Yeah, same thing.
PLI is the IDAC model.
Will you agree with me that it only has the potential to increase successes if you have all the components that you need for it? So you need a capable police and DPCI.
I did make that point.
Yeah, which we don't have.
I agree completely.
Yeah, we don't have. You
There are a number of...
You need a capable NPA, which we don't fully have. You need access to proper resources, which includes access to serious forensic capabilities. accounting forensics, cyber forensics, and other technological resources, which we currently do not have or do not have fully. But what you need most importantly is you need competent, experienced, and confident prosecutors who are able to confidently take cases to court in the face of strong opposition of defense counsel, who have no such restraints and currently have a free ride. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that, but I want to add to that I agree with everything that the Honorable Breitenbach has said with regard to capacities, capabilities that's needed to deal with these complex matters. We did a capability review in the NPA, and we found that we have extremely competent, skilled prosecutors who can prosecute, should I say, traditional crimes extremely well.
Yes.
But the reality is that with complexity of corruption, cybercrime, we do lack the skills. And that's one of the reasons why we have also been employing the use of Section 38 Counsel to fill the gap that we have precisely for that, whilst we try to build capacity and capability in these fields within the NPA. And there's a lot of initiatives that are happening to deal precisely with that.
Well, I'm relieved to hear that. So I agree with you fully that the capacity to prosecute, again, without being disparaging, prosecute traditional crimes is there. And let there be no misunderstanding. I think there are thousands of prosecutors who go to work every day and do their best under very trying circumstances. That includes the police and everybody else. It's not a lack of trying. It's a lack of capacity. And this kind of capacity is not learnt in a book. You can't get a note from Justice College on it.
I agree with you. It comes with a certain level of training, but experience as well in these types of cases. And the sad reality is that the prosecution, the NPA, was not prosecuting these complex matters before 2019. So the capacity was not, in fact, there was a deliberate attempt not to deal with many of these matters. One of the things I did when I took office was to say that the SCCU, we need to do an audit of all the cases in the SCCU to remove the cases that should go to the normal regional courts so that the SCCU focuses on the types of cases that it was meant to focus on. And so that was part of the process. But of course, when you have prosecutors that are not prosecuting these matters, then it comes with experience. So we've been trying to actually fill that gap in capacity through various ways.
Well, the SCCU was never instituted or set up to prosecute traditional cases.
That's
Never been part of its mandate. So if they were doing that, there should be consequences for those prosecutors who allowed that to happen. You switched off your mic.
I'm thinking.
No, okay.
It was just that it was the culture in the NPA at the time where, you know, prosecutors also chasing figures and statistics for Parliament also leads them to take, because you've got to take more, produce more numbers, the criteria, intake criteria is different. So there were a whole range of reasons why prosecutors were not being unethical, but they were doing the easy cases, let's put it that way. And so one of the things I did say is that even to Parliament, that the SCCU numbers might drop. And that is because we are now focusing on the more complex cases. But I agree completely that, you know, the SCCU was never intended to be doing those kinds of cases. But that is a lot of what it ended up doing, which was the result, which was the cause for the audit when I took office.
Yeah, well, the SCCU was set up to be exactly that, a specialized commercial crime unit. And doing ordinary cases hardly requires a specialist prosecutor. So they should be marched out and shot at dawn for allowing that to happen. It's a disgrace. So you and I differ somewhat on our interpretation of the Glenister 2 judgment. And you hold the view, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that that IDAC is independent, sufficiently.
Adequately independent, that's correct.
Okay, yeah. So you were around when the Scorpions were disbanded. And you know what the gutting result of that was. For many people, for prosecutors, for policemen, for the NPA. And it was a day of great celebration for the corrupt and for the connected. And the reason they were disbanded was they went after particularly politicians, correct?
Including politicians, yes.
Yeah. And they were disbanded with relative ease, 51% of votes in the National Assembly. You remember?
I can't remember the percentage.
51, well, that's all they needed was 51%.
Yes, I agree.
And with IDAC, where it's currently housed within the NPA, will you agree with me that all that's required is, again, 51%? So what kind of protection is that? What kind of independence is that? What security of tenure is that?
Why I raised the issue and said that the one benefit of Chapter 9 institution is the fact that a 2/3 majority is required. And I think that that should be an amendment that would require a 2/3 majority for removal of an IDAC head or a national director, which will actually address that, I agree, that point.
And you'll agree with me then that the independence that was envisaged by the Constitutional Court is not satisfied with IDAC as it currently is situated. Because of that reason, can we disband it tomorrow?
I don't agree, because if we look at the Glenister decision in terms of what exactly adequate independence means, I think as far as the NPA is concerned, I mentioned earlier, there are very, very few prosecuting authorities in the world where they are completely separated from the executive. Most of them have some line of reporting to the executive. And so that is why I say it's adequate independence. The issue of the operational and financial independence is another matter. But if you look at the STIRS criteria that Glenister dealt with, specialized, we are actually now making sure that we get the specialist capacities. Now
One day in the future, yeah?
Well, we have to build it up, and we're trying to be innovative in terms of how we bring in the specialized capacities, whilst we're trying to address the scourge of corruption.
The fact is you don't have it today.
Pardon me?
The fact is you don't have it today.
No, we have a number of prosecutors in the IDAC that can do this job, and we are also hiring Section 38 lawyers to ensure that we boost this capacity to do these cases. So in that sense, we do have the capacity to deal with the cases, specialized, whether it's internal or external. Trained is, we are, many of them, because I say they have the capacity and the skills, means they are in fact trained, but we don't have enough of them. And so we need to get more of them. Independence, I think, as I've explained it, there's adequate independence. You're never going to get prosecuting authorities, or very few in the world, that are completely outside of the executive. So one way of addressing your challenge is to amend the legislation to make it a 2/3 majority, which will help with the security of tenure and enhance the independence. And then resources is the last criteria. And there again, we've been getting support from the government in terms of budget to get the resources that we need. But there's still specialized resources that come very expensive. But we are doing what we can to get the necessary resources into the IDAC. And to emphasize that, again, the IDAC has a number of cases already in court, enrolled, which shows that they are getting cases to court. We must not forget that it's only been it's a year since the IDAC became permanent, and it's post-COVID, it's about 4 years since we really started turning things around in the NPA. And so what they've achieved in those 4.5 years maybe, and in the last year, I agree. I, as a national director, am also not, is the one disappointment that we couldn't move faster in this regard. But there were so many reasons why we're not able to. But there are a number of cases, and I want to emphasize, as I mentioned earlier, some of the key Gupta lieutenants are in court. We're one of the few jurisdictions in the world where we have CEOs, CFOs, ex-presidents, members of boards that are in court at the moment facing various charges. And so, I can name the Gupta lieutenants, but I don't think it's necessary. They're already in court. but there's a number of really important cases that are in court that need to move quicker through the system.
You'll forgive me if my comment to that is we need to count the convictions.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please do.
Once a case is enrolled, rule of law does not end at an enrollment. A strong rule of law means that cases move quickly through a system to finalization. And if you look at all of the challenges in the system about why these cases simply do not move through the system, and I'm sure you, Honorable Breitenbach, will be well aware of these, the deliberate delaying tactics, the fact that the judiciary has to take a stronger role in moving cases swiftly through the system. I had the opportunity in the ceremonial sitting of Judge Zondo's retirement as well as Judge Nhlanhla's retirement at the Constitutional Court. And I raised the issue, maybe at one or both of them, about what is the role of the judiciary as the third arm of government to implement government priorities in line with the sacrosanct independent mandate of the judiciary. It is really important. So if corruption is a government priority, what is the role of the judiciary in ensuring that these matters move swiftly through the court system? So I think that's something that needs to be addressed. I'm not saying it's only the judiciary is responsible for this.
I agree with you that they have a responsibility.
But an important responsibility to get cases moving quickly through the system. And then hopefully we will say we have finalized cases, whether they are convictions, acquittals. Yes. But I agree, it simply takes too long in the system.
So then part of the issue remains that you also need well-trained and confident judges who are not allowed, don't allow themselves to be browbeaten by the histrionics of senior counsel. Yeah. So I'm going to save some time for the Honourable Klopper, so I'm going to leave some of my questions out. We'll have to discuss the STIRS criteria a little more later, not in this forum. You said that there's no political interference, and we're so lucky to have an executive that respects the independence of the NPA. And I already referred to Chauke and the time it took for him to be suspended. In my view, that is a very demonstrable lack of support for your national director. But you don't have to answer that. Would you agree that the closing down of the DSO was politically motivated?
Well, it's certainly something that went through the process and the Scorpions were killed in Parliament.
Yeah. Would you agree that the firing of Vusi Pikoli was politically motivated?
I know that politicians were involved in that process.
Would you agree that the abysmal failure of the system, with no consequences, mind you, that allowed the Guptas to leave this country at all, was politically motivated?
I was not here when they left the country, and I'm not aware of the details, but it's highly suspicious about how they were allowed to get out of the country.
But no consequences?
Apparently so.
Well, I'm asking you. You're the national director, and the NPA was in...
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Yeah.
No consequences for whom,
No,
with
whoever
respect?
was in charge of that matter, they were obviously a flight risk.
My apologies, I'm not understanding.
They were obviously a flight risk. Why were they just allowed to wander around and do as they please?
That I understand. They were probably failures at various levels by various institutions that allowed that to happen.
And then this you probably won't agree with, but I'm putting it to you, I state it as my view, that the constant diminishing of the budget of the police and the NPA is indirect political interference to ensure that no one is put into an orange overall.
Generally, I would agree with that statement. If that is what happens, then that is a form of ensuring that entities can't do what they need to do. But I do want to emphasize that in my term of office, we have received the budget that we require. We still need a lot more resources moving forward, particularly if the operational and financial independence kicks in. So it's I do want to emphasize that we have got the financial support that we need, but into the future, with the complexity of crimes and the need for additional specialized training, security of prosecutors, etc., there's going to be a need for more financial, for more budget.
So the Justice Portfolio Committee can relax. We don't have to fight for budget for you anymore. You're sorted.
Well, just for this year we're sorted, but not for the outer years.
Thank you, Chair. I have nothing further.
Honorable Thapa.
Thank you, Chairperson and Advocate Batohi. I went through the 23, 24, 24, 25 reports, the annual reports, and there were so many similarities, though under different headings. I'm glad to hear that you mentioned you have enough budgets, because many of the lines that you would find is that there are delayed and withdrawn cases due to poor coordination between investigators and prosecutors. Unfilled senior posts, specialized shortages, weak evidence and incomplete investigations, and that's flowing from the SAPS, Hawks and NPA. And at the same time, we sit with the Zondo Commission reports, the Nhlanhla Commission, and this very ad hoc committee, which is trying to expose this structural rot that the justice system. And I think here's the point, no one leadership position seems to be prepared to take any ownership. It seems just to be passing the buck onto a different department to a different person. Advocate Batohi, how do you explain after 2 consecutive annual reports, and I mean, you know there's many years that follow those, that the same operational failures with no measurable improvements in coordination, capacity, and conviction outcomes, especially when we refer to the high-level corruption?
Honourable Klopper, I can say it's not just 2 years. These challenges have been going on for decades. And it is a frustration that these systemic problems cannot be dealt with. I've come back, and I was a DPP in KwaZulu-Natal from 2000 to around 2009. And I say to prosecutors, the same problems that we had then still persist in the system. And that is why, as you know, the importance of this hearing, of this committee, is to properly understand